Trump's recent directive to his attorneys to go through the Smithsonian museums, claiming, among other things, that their portrayal of U.S. history is too negative and too focused on, quote, how bad slavery was, end quote, was stunning on many levels. Since taking office on Martin Luther King Day, he is taking substantive and also symbolic actions intentionally harmful to Black Americans. He's made it clear that diversity and equality are to him dirty words, and has done his damnedest to eliminate gains and opportunities in education, the military, the workplace, and everywhere else. He's also gutted or outright eliminated programs that disproportionately impacted children and families of color. He's also decided to release the MLK files for the sole purpose of demeaning the legacy of a civil rights icon. He chose the anniversary of Juneteenth to tell the country that we have too many holidays, while simultaneously stripping the names of Black leaders and heroes from naval ships and the DoD website, while championing the reinstatement of Confederate symbols across the South. I could go on and on about the unmistakable messaging from this White House and the white nationalists they elevate about how they'd like to take us back to a darker time in our nation's history. But instead, I'd like to point out the dangers of letting them whitewash our country's past. Trump has dispatched his minions to erase the ugly parts of American history. It should be noted that the exercise also included scrubbing his own inclusion in an exhibit about presidential impeachments. But even if his motivations weren't clearly about a broader pattern of marginalizing minority populations, his efforts to shield Americans from the chapters of our history is not only misguided, it's dangerous. You know, a while ago, my son learned about the history of slavery in New York that wasn't in his school books. At one point, the city hosted the second largest slave trading site in the entire country. The city was built on the backs of slaves physically, and the bedrock of the global financial center was financed by the slave trade. For all of New York's deserved progressive stature, its courts and legislature at the time, they fought to extend the practice of slavery, and lynchings did happen in the Empire State. The point here is that history is part of New York. And the more history is complete, the more we can see where abuses can lead if unchecked, and the more we can rectify our past. It was a point renowned attorney and executive director of the Equal Justice Initiative in Montgomery, Brian Stevenson, echoed in a special that we produced.
I don't think anything has been more central to the evolution of the country than our struggle over the institution of slavery. And yet, we haven't created many cultural sites. We haven't created many places to remember. Black people were disenfranchised, they were brutalized, they were excluded, they were lynched, they were segregated. And if we ban people from learning about that, we won't understand the legacy of that. I think education isn't really education if we take out anything that makes us uncomfortable, if we take out anything that makes us ashamed. The most effective education actually explores those things so that we get to a better place.
Whether shame or an uglier instinct is behind Trump's efforts to purge things like slavery, the genocide of Native Americans, or even impeachments, Churchill's famous line comes to mind, quote, "Those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it."